So we're back at square one here with the Gearbox, and the weld didn't hold, and he apparently was worried about damaging these seals before because it was the weekend and we weren't able to get parts. So now we have new seals on hand, and he has popped this one out. So have your parts before you tear it apart, because like this cracked just a little bit. It's kind of like a rubber coated cap. So I don't know if it'll make a difference or not, but we have a backup now. Oh yeah. The last one in the country. So yeah, the John Deere 720 Haybine. If you're needing parts for that.
This is from Atlanta. It's sitting in a dealership in Atlanta. It was the last one.
Okay, I don't know if you heard him. That came from Atlanta, Georgia, and it was the last one, sitting on a shelf all this time. So he's got this retainer clip here moved, and he's trying to see what's going on with it. Here, now you can see it. To be able to slip this whole shaft out instead of just weld it, if it's possible.
We have to take it out because
this goes inside of this one.
We couldn't weld it properly because we would have melted and caught this seal on fire and ruined it.
Yeah.
But now, this is available. This is $8.
Okay.
So we got that. So now we'll just take the shaft out now that we know we have a seal, and we can weld it for real, because that only went a few acres because it was so shallow. I kept welding it here and there. Couldn't get it hot, and I didn't wreck the seal, but it didn't matter because the weld wasn't good enough.
Yeah. And it was able to get us going to get 315 bales. But now we got to get serious about it and get our hay going and up in the loft. So this is what's going on this weekend. So here is where we really lucked out. We found this company online, Surplus Center, and we were able to find the spline shaft. So they're not referring to them as PTOs or anything like that in this catalog, but this is page 139 of the catalog. I know that PTO shaft problems come up with farming all the time, so I wanted to put this in the video because these are not items that are in stock at like Family Farm and Home or Tractor Supply, and their prices in the most part are in line or better than anything that we have found there. This spline was $23.85. We ordered two to make sure that we had one on hand. This Gearbox is obsolete as far as John Deere goes, and it was over $400 when it was available through them. Okay, so what do you got?
We had to buy a blank, they call it splined shafting. We found it in Nebraska. This isn't available, hasn't been for a while for this gearbox. Everything on this mower was made in Spain. They're discontinued most of it. So that shaft was about like that long. So we had to have this little clip right here. It's alignment clip for the whole job, just based on that right there. And it had to have a keyway in it to hold this gear. The original shaft had a little key slot here, but for no reason, because this is the bearing for it and it doesn't take one. So anyway, he didn't have to put that in the new one. Okay. Cut the end off. These are two different diameters. This one's a little bit smaller. You can see that little step right there. And this should get it taken care of. So because this is such a hard ordeal and all homemade, we bought two of them. We had two of them done identical, see? So if it goes bad again, we've already got it. Yep. So that should take care of this.
And you were able to get these?
This is the old one.
Okay, but you found those at Menards and Tractor Supply, right?
This is just a Woodruff key, that's common. And that's what holds the gear from spinning. Okay. So these are a bit of a press fit. So we'll get it all put back together, get it on the mower, and this should be what ended up happening was, this is kind of a wear point. This gearbox wobbles on some rubber bushings, which is odd. And this is just, it's a 21 spline 1000 shaft going in for your input, and a 546 spline shaft coming out. It's common stuff, but it's weird. It's an overdrive gearbox. It's 7.5 to 1. 0.75 to 1. So eventually what happened is they wore this spline off. It goes directly into your slip clutch on the mower. They wore it off, so they ran some crappy beads of weld down each one, shoved it back together, and sold it. So we inherited the problem. So it sheared off, and we found all those long little beads of weld in there, kind of all in one piece. We saved them. So that's what they did, because they couldn't buy the shaft either.
And then we cut it and welded a new adapter on the end.
It didn't really work. We took a 540 shaft from Tractor Supply and left the gearbox altogether. The reason is it happened on the weekend, and the seal that holds the oil in on this is right about here. No, it's right about here. So what happened was we knew we couldn't get the seal on the weekend. If I welded it correctly, it would have melted the seal and just lost all the oil, and you couldn't use it anyway.
Right.
So we welded it real cold and just barely kind of tack welded it, and that actually got a few acres, and then that just sheared right off. So we knew we had to then, of course, when we had the time, fix it right. So now it's fixed right.
So we did the waterway and 2 different days around.
Yeah, something.
Or 1 day around the outer edge.
So
before it
basically,
broke.
if we would have had the seal available, which this was special order, everything for this mower is discontinued. This is all like old stock stuff sitting on a shelf. These access covers came from like Georgia and Canada and all these far off places. It's not available. If you would have had the seal available, you could have really welded this right and beat it out and got it to hold. It'd be hard to get it aligned good enough to last, but you could have done better than what we did. So we just used another mower and did what we could and waited to get this all set up like we are now. And
when I had made the video before about the meat heading and the John Deere sickle bar mower, that got us by great, but some of the hay was so thick and so tall he was worried that it wouldn't cut well, but it actually did pretty good. It's just slow going because it's 7 feet, where this is this 12 or 14?
9'9", I think.
Oh, the swather was longer.
But it's fast because it has a reel.
Right.
And this they're driving them fast. They really cut fast. They don't cut as fast as a what do you call the new ones?
Haybine.
No. Disc vine.
Oh, okay.
They're not nearly as fast as a disc vine, but they're fast. So
we have yesterday was dry, or today?
Today's the first dry day. It quit raining last
night. Okay, so it's supposed to be dry for 3 days.
5.
Well, it said, I think, 30 and 50% chance later in the week. So
the one I got on said 10. This is Sunday. It quit raining last night, so I went to work. It was too wet to drive in.
Yeah.
To get this fixed. And it says 10% from Sunday through Thursday, so I think we might have 5 days to do. We can round bale it, wrap it wet. We can square bale what's our second cutting, square bale that. So.
And his dad has a round baler, but the trouble that we have with that is our backhoe's not fixed, and we have a bale spear we can put on the back, and he can feed the cows with the round bale feeder, but for sales, I mean...
But if it's going to snow in a week or 2, like they're saying it might, that's what we'll do.
Can you believe that, snow in October? But we've had 90, 80 degree Halloweens, and we've had snow on Halloween, so it goes both ways.
So we're probably going to square bale some of it, put it in the barn to sell it. Nice, tender, not too not overgrown at all, second cutting. And then the stuff we never could get to because of this, roll it up, wrap it.
Right.
And they're good.
So we actually, his dad knew somebody who did the machining on this for us, and what did it end up costing, or did you do a trade for him?
It was $100 to do both shafts.
Which, it was originally like $4 something for the one, when it was available?
When John Deere sold, the last ones that were sold when they were available were $445. We paid $40, it ended up being $40 a piece for the hardened spline shafting with shipping.
Right, because they were like 29, right?
It was like 30 something plus shipping. Okay. So basically the machining was $50, and these ended up being, it was about $90 a piece instead of $445, and we're ending up with the same thing. We would have paid $445 for this to not lose a lot of our summer.
Right.
But it didn't matter because they weren't around.
Yeah. And we bought a new seal, or 2 new seals.
Both seals, which is, and these were hard to get. these access covers that you kind of destroyed to get in here to get it apart.
Yeah.
These all came from like 10 states away, other countries. It was forever. And that's why we couldn't weld this using any heat at all, because the gearbox was all together. I didn't have any of these access covers or seals to actually take it apart and weld it right and put it back together. I couldn't give it any heat. So sure enough, it just kind of broke off when I got into some tough stuff, which we figured.
Well, and you guys know I do a lot of fix it and repair stuff, but this like machining stuff, I can take things apart. I'm smart enough to figure out how to put it back together, and I've always done that with our repairs. But, you know, getting into engines and heavy equipment, I kind of leave it up to him. So I've been busy doing my own thing. He's been busy doing his thing. This was farmed out to somebody else, and it was hours and hours away. So his dad had to make a trip to northern Michigan to take it there and to bring it back for us.
We called like 10 places around us, and nobody wanted to do the small of the job.
They just didn't even want to touch it.
Wouldn't even do it. They're like, no.
Yeah.
No.
And we had local people to us within, you know, half hour, 15 minutes even.
Too busy.
And they just, they didn't want to do the work. They'd rather not do it, I guess. So this is how we're spending our week, making hay. But today, we got to do this before we can get to making the hay, right? Okay.
So.
All right, put it back together, boss. Now when that's filled with gear oil, is the entire box filled full of oil?
No.
Or does it just sit in the bottom?
See, there's a dipstick. This goes in the fill plug.
Okay.
See your low and high mark right here?
Okay.
So when you screw that down in,
Oh.
you can see how high it would be.
Okay.
And
I was
then,
going to say, that's a lot of oil. It's got to be full. Okay. Hi there. Hi. I don't know where it is.
No. No. Oh.
You're smart. Give it a shake. Shake. Is that your fuel tank?
No.
Okay.
Mine.
Yeah, it's yours. This one's yours.
Nope.
There. That was running rough. So as it turns out, there was 2 different thicknesses of these thrust washers, and I had the wrong one in here, and it was putting the gear too close to the other gear, so I switched it. And it was smooth as silk. He's filling his tractor with fuel.
Yeah. I got it. Look, now he's taking it back out.
Where?
Inside. Is this your fuel line?
Yep. There. Perfect. We're doing good. Okay.
Yep. Goof you up a little bit, having to take your little work table apart for the order. What?
They got moved. Parts got moved, and they weren't in their own little pile with the.
Yeah.
So I had to figure it all out again. But you know, you got a 50-50 shot. I just picked the wrong one.
Well, as long as it's easy to get out.
Well, there's only 2.
What?
So, this seal is this one.
Let me see it before you. So,
That little rubber lip is what holds the oil in.
no, not that one. No, you can't have that one. Nope, not this one. This one. Oh, look at that. Is that a type of plastic or rubber?
It's rubber. They have a spring in them. Here's the old one. They have a. I'm going to show that. There's a spring in there that holds the rubber tight against, and that's what keeps it tension. As it wears, the spring just keeps moving it in. So now this is, I say this did not get ruined when we pulled everything apart. Several parts didn't.
Yeah.
So we're in good shape for if this fails again. So now the gearbox is assembled. So if you look in there, listen to that. See?
Yeah.
Smooth as silk. So your power comes in from your PTO shaft on here, transfers at 93 degrees is what this is, not 90. And
It's much more simpler than, like, you think what a gearbox is.
so here's your alignment clip, is all that one does. That's in there. That's in there good.
One side. Go see Bethy.
Perfect.
Sounds good.
So, put these covers in.
Simple enough repair, just took forever to get the right part.
Yeah. So here's a new cap. Here's your access cap.
No. 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 Okay, talk about gear oil.
I'm just going to put 80/90 in it. 80W90. There's a bucket of it right down here. Because sometimes all these rubber parts and seals aren't made for the synthetics.
Yeah.
So on this I don't know, and the machine kind of was built before the synthetic oils got really popular.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put normal conventional 80/90 in it, because I think that's probably what it had. It'll be fine. These are the last two new ones in the world. We own them. Sorry about that. One came from some other country and one came from Georgia or something. And that's it.
And that's just the way it goes.
And we found out, here's the one we took out. You kind of mar it up a little bit, but it's usable. This one, as it turns out, I reached in here with a special tool and popped it out. This one you do kind of wreck. So if anybody else has to do what we just did, it might be a decent idea to actually grind this down and weld a little C shape or U shape, so you can come up to that next time and just pop it out with a pry bar. We have extras, so I didn't mess with it right now, but that might be something that could really save you, because these parts are going away. The 710, 720 John Deere MOCO, not good for parts anymore. So it's all going to be homemade. Anything that happens.
So the good deal you're finding somewhere, it might be because it's broke, badly patched, or just...
This was a very poor repair and then pawned off. And how would you know? But now we've owned one and it's happened, so we won't buy any more of these.
Yep.
They cut good.
Well, same thing with the swather, you know. Until we start having that.
Wow, we're doing a nice repair here again. Keep it going.
That's what you do.
So, should we dig this input shaft seal out and replace it, because that's the one that was leaking. That actually had a leak. What do you think? Pull her out of there. As long as the PTO input shaft is...
Yep.
I think so too. It is right here. 35, 62, 10. Nice repairs, yeah?
Of course.
Making videos for people? Are ya?
That's right.
Are ya?
That's a bugger.
That seal is not bad. Oh, there's your... Yeah, that, see?
Yeah.
It failed. There's the spring.
I saw that. It slipped right down.
I might have done it, but anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
So does that get a lubrication right there?
Yep, same idea.
Mm-hmm.
Pre-oil it. It's getting loose.
So here we're back out at the machine. Hopefully this new microphone I got helps filter some of the wind out, because I know this outdoor filming can be terrible. How big is this? Guy? How big is this? Oh, we got grass growing up in it everywhere. sprouts. Probably wouldn't hurt to power wash this stuff at the end of the season, huh?
Oh, for sure. Power wash all of that dust off.
Well, your dad's got, yeah, see, there's absolute grass seed up in there. Got mud on it from another time that it was used. I'm seeing all this grass growing up in here and moss, so that'll be my job. Get this all cleaned off. And, oh, just terrible. Who are these people anyway? Bow season started, so they're out there shooting.
Yep.
Why? Tell me the correlation there.
Doesn't matter.
Couldn't have given a power washer to a better person, huh?
You?
Yeah. So the side of the house needs it again. About once a year. Total mat of grass growing up here. Yeah. Can you hit it with that slag hammer?
Well, it's way down deep in the...
I know some things.
Huh?
You know some things.
Something will have to get it cleaned out of there. The new box won't go in with that. Stuff this way.
Okay.
Just goes in and slams.
Alright, I guess I should have realized this needed power washing before.
And?
Huh?
And?
Well, this isn't stuff I'm used to doing.
You don't have to, and then put it back to work, really.
Well, I like things nice. Got it cleaned up?
It seems to have helped. Every time I hit it, it goes. Had some old debris from old shafts being.
Uh-huh.
Now it's kind of stuck, but if I hit it one more time, I bet it'll.
Well, can you see up in there with a flashlight or anything?
Oh yeah. Every time you hit it, gets a little better. Their little deal where they welded up the spline and just tried to get it by for a while, that left little bits of stuff in there. I just took a screwdriver and my fingers and stuff and tried to get it cleaned out, and now you can see it's
okay.
It's right about there. So now it's acting a little dry and sticky. I'll oil it.
See my bum.
No, you walk right up in here. Walk right around the hitch. This bracket. Work with that bracket a little bit. Okay. Don't cut my fingers off. Lift it up. Lift it. Lift it. Lift it.
Okay, so he's got it back together and he thinks it's gonna hold. You gonna try it out today?
Yeah. Looks like a good repair.
Alright, well I went through, I showed you my little knife tool. It's a knife and a chisel all in one, and one of my YouTube viewers sent that to me, so thank you for that. And if anybody else ever wants to send me any mail, our P.O. box is posted on the channel and about page, so you can always do that. Let me know if you don't want it on camera, or if you don't want to be named. If you don't want to draw attention to anybody who doesn't want it. I went through and I got all the growing grass out of it. I told him that I guess from now on the job for me is to give it a quick bath, power washing when he's done using it in between during the season, and to give it a thorough bath at the end of the season, because I can see how that dirt packed in there is drawing moisture and letting water sit in there and grow the grass seed that has collected. So we're gonna hopefully get several more hundred bales up. I was starting to say about first cuttings and second cuttings. So how many bales would you say that we've collected for the year? Normally we keep track, but we didn't do much keeping track this year.
I don't know.
Well, we had the straw and the hay, so the loft is really full, but we haven't filled up that area above the pig pen yet. We've got almost a full storage trailer to fill, so there's plenty of room for more, and I've still got a little room left on the main floor. Whether or not we use the dry floor for hay storage is always kind of a, you know, whether we want to do it or have tractors parked in or equipment. It just kind of depends. We've got a jinky barn door to kind of work on and kind of make that decision. But a lot of people who did go ahead with the second cutting, when others were cutting, we noticed that there was only a couple of inches of growth from the time that we were doing a first cutting next to a second cutting in the same field. So it really wasn't worth going out. There was no tonnage for that, so it was better off to kind of wait. If we get kind of a warm spell still, it could grow some more. We did notice where we have done a first cutting later in the season that it is ready for a second cutting now. So we're gonna go through, cut as much as we can, and get some money in the barn. Well, we are at the end of another haymaking day. The sun is setting. The chemtrails are full. The moon is half full. And the hayfield is all tedded. He's been out here getting it finished before the sun goes down. And he's got about 10 or 15 minutes left of sunlight. It's going to get dark quick, especially being out here right next to the woods. He couldn't head out without George. George is having his first tractor ride out on the field while they're working. That's little guy. You can barely see his little hand waving.
Hang on, I'm steering you, little buddy.
But this is great. I think when he did this first cutting, it was about 400 bales. So this will get a good start. Little guy is happy doing that. So we're gonna walk back. I'll show you what this all looks like in the morning. It'll have some time to dry. And if it's a good drying day, he could get it baled tomorrow. A new day has begun and he is out here cutting. So we started out doing some chores around the barnyard and the driveway and odd jobs up there that needed to be done while this was drying off this morning. There's a good breeze going on today. You can see where that taller grass is. That's all gone to seed, and basically it just so happened that the field is reseeding itself because of that. The haybine had broke down and there just wasn't much we could do about it. So he did all of this area with just the sickle bar mower. And this area here had been done with the haybine after he had done his weld on the shaft. So all of this area, this is the area that I had tedded. That was back, 6-8 weeks ago, and you can see there's only a couple of inches of growth from there to where this has been cut down. So not a whole lot. It's looking real good. We could see from the house that it's starting to lay down, but the way this cuts, it leaves about 6 inches for the winter. If you cut it much shorter, you can cause winter root kill. It's just like with overgrazing. So when an animal nibbles the grass off the top, if they're there for too long, they're actually taking the stores and reserves from the roots, and cutting the hay too short this late in the year can do the same thing. So you can see here that first grass that all shot up early, it went to seed, it's dropping off with the wind, it's reseeding. There's all fresh new grass down low mixed in with alfalfa. Our alfalfa generally is a 2-cutting alfalfa anyway. You can get 3 cuttings out of it, and that's always been fine for us. It's called vernal alfalfa. I've been looking up in the Albert Lee seed catalog about a different clover to add to a sandy area where we had a lot of loss on that hayfield just because it didn't do well. The grass that was in there with last year's dryness and this year's dryness, it's pretty bald, it's pretty sparse, and the alfalfa does best for reaching down and getting that moisture out of the ground. But you can see here's some red clover growing, and I found, red clover just seems to be great for hay fields. The white clover is better for the bees. They have a hard time, their proboscis, their little funnel for sucking up all the nectar, and they work their legs in it and fill their baskets. They can't get down in there for getting all that pollen, collecting it, so they need the white clover. So I've been looking into all-site clover. It's what generally grows in your yards, and that's usually what yards were mostly comprised of years ago. So for us, it's fortunate that we had a little bit of forethought to seed the hayfield with a mixture to survive droughts and winter. We get very little weeds because it does get allowed to go to seeding, just because of our schedule's busy. Like here's a stray milkweed growing. There's very few weeds in the entire field, and there's a lot of weeds that are bad for horses. So having a good thick hay field is a great thing for having solid heavy bales. We're getting tonnage out of this. I had mentioned to him we bought a hay chopper. However, we don't have a forage wagon for going out into the field to chop it. Putting up a fence in this whole area to rotational graze with the cows leaves a lot of hay on the ground, and nothing in the barn for winter. So, you know, it's kind of better for us to feed them the way that we're feeding them. Having silage bunks would be a good way to go later on, but then, you know, we've got to have a little tractor with a loader for feeding them, or a skid loader that, you know, can go all terrain. We have that trouble with our forklift. It is only for use on paved surfaces, so it's a real pain. So here he comes with his Haybine. He did all the waterway last night, got everything good and cut. He even had time to go out and ted it last night before dark. I showed you that. And he knew that it would take all of today to dry out because it is sunny, it's breezy, but it's not hot. It is, you know, maybe supposed to be 63, 65 today. So you're talking, you know, a 10-degree difference, 20 degree. So you're talking a 10 to 20 degree difference from the summertime weather. We always get fall cuttings just because of our schedule being busy. A lot of people would be doing a third cutting now if they had growth. This is our second cutting just because of timing, wet spring, you know, breakdowns. It is so great that we have, you know, like his father's Haybine to use to get the job done faster because this is longer than a sickle bar mower. But had he turned me loose with a tractor, we could have gotten a first and a second cutting all the way to those woods, and this is as far as we've got. But with a reduced herd, we didn't need a lot. So it just hurts our potential income for next year in the early spring a little bit. Everything kind of works out. We're not super dependent on the income from it. But the goal is to keep at this over the years and have it be our income so we can retire and just do this. He wanted to do some greasing on it, and the breeze has got him a little chilly, so I brought him out a jacket and a grease gun. Hi there, how's it doing?
Pretty good. It's really thin, light. There's some better dirt through here and down there, you can see it.
Yeah.
But most everything is very thin.
Okay.
For how long it's been.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see tops here
So,
it didn't even cut.
It's trying to push it over because it's so short.
Yeah.
I'm going pretty slow, but...
Okay. Well, you're doing great. Looks like you made several passes.
7 so far.
Okay. Well, that's good. You're getting into where you had cut last time, so. Here you go.
Filming yourself? Good.
No, I've been painting. Yeah.
I could see those rims, like, over on that hill.
The sun's hitting them?
Yeah. So, how'd it go?
Good.
Like it? Look like the right color?
I guess. It just looks shiny metal.
What?
It just looks like shiny metal aluminum. When you paint it, it's just like a mirror. So it'll need 2 coats. It's real thin paint. I think I'd like to take his toolbox off and paint it for him just because it, you know, tends to get rusty and gets in worse shape, but I realize it's just a toolbox. He carries some teeth section in here for that. Some bolts for it. A few more bolts. Got everything he needs there. Oh yeah, it was black. Well, I think it should paint it green. Yeah. Where this was parked in our yard and I had been cleaning it off, there was grass growing from the seed blowing off of it just from the wind, and all these different crevices had grass growing on that. So definitely a good idea to at least blow it off when you're not using it, because like this little circle here, there's another one on this side, it was just packed full of seed and dust, and of course it, you know, got wet from sitting out, and I actually had grass growing in all these sections. So blow it off at the end of the day at the very least.
The sun goes away and then the sun comes out and you're warm.
Yep. Okay. You want to keep that with you? You got a tool thing? Oh, you got a toolbox. So he says it's not going to be real heavy, not a lot of tonnage. That's fine. It's still getting cut. It needs to be cut. We're not going to waste it. I think we're going to be real busy here for the next bit. From now until Halloween, this is our hay season since we're getting such a late go at it. What? So that's it for the repair on the John Deere Haybine, everybody. Thanks for watching. Remember to hit that thumbs up button. Don't forget to subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. It really helps to support the channel. And I'm asking you to please do it. We appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.